y'all, it's your girl Cheryl Underwood, and I'm working on my podcast, but the podcast I want you to check out is the Rome Show podcast. I heard they doing it right.
Okay, cool.
We're live. Welcome to the Rome Show. I got a special guest. How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing good. I appreciate you for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, no problem.
So you're a former host of the Discovery Channel, master of arms, partner, chief marketer, and officer of MGS, Trade
Yes.
Control.
Yes. Trade school. Yep.
Yep. And that's like unique. There's different things. So
It really
out
is. Yeah.
of all those things, what was the first thing that you got into, and when did you
Oh,
get into
man.
it?
So you want me to just give you the full background? How I
Yeah.
got to where I am? So I was 13 years in the medical field. My degree is in sports medicine and biology. And did that for 13 years, was a clinical director. And then I chased the money with the sales side and got burnt out really, really quick. And with that, I ended up going to a buddy of mine's office. He had a big conglomerate in Nashville, and he owned like car dealerships, an insurance company. He owned two Latin American radio stations. He had his hand in everything. And so I said, look, I'm burnt out in what I'm doing. Here's my resume. Teach me your ways. And he taught, I got a crash course in marketing. I ended up being his chief administrative officer within a year. And we opened a location in a rough area of Clarksville, Tennessee. And so went up there, and because it was in a rough area, I went and got my carry permit. And when I did that, any time I've ever gotten involved in anything, right, I dive in head first. It's like complete, total immersion, soak up everything I can possibly soak up. And so I was on YouTube and I was listening to podcasts about firearms, and it was great information. But at the time, it's gotten better now, but at the time, there was not really any entertainment intertwined with it, right? It was all informational. Like, here is this pistol, and it's chambered in this, and this is why it's new, and this is who made it, and this is the patent office, and, all this stuff that was like neat. Glad I know it, but that was boring. So I was like, I called a buddy of mine, and I'm like, dude, we need to start a podcast. And this is back in 2011. So the first thing out of his mouth was, "What the f is a podcast?" and I'm like, well, I've listened to them. I don't know how to do them. So I asked my buddy who owned those two Mexican radio stations. I said, "Hey, can we use the equipment to start this podcast?" And we started a show called Talking Lead. And within a year, we were the largest firearms related podcast in the world. We were in 117 countries. So it was a fun boom. Since then, lots of podcasts have surpassed it, but it was a fun little ride. And I parlayed that into working for another trade school that teaches gunsmithing and firearms repair and maintenance and everything. And did that for 5 years. And at the end, towards the end, I got a message on LinkedIn, and it said, "Would you like to audition to be the gunsmithing judge on a weapons building competition?" I'm like, that show will have never happened. Sure, I'll audition, whatever. So I did it, and then they found out I had a radio background and I had done some YouTube stuff with the Talking Lead show, and they were like, "Well, why don't you audition to be the host?" So I re-auditioned, still thinking, "Oh, this will never happen." And I think that's probably why I got it, because I didn't care. Like, I didn't think any of this would ever come to fruition, and I was like, "Yeah, I'll just whatever. Yeah, sure, I'll wing it." And next thing you know, 8 months later, we're filming up in Pennsylvania, and then it goes to Discovery, and we had a full season on Discovery, and it was fun. And then I kind of parlayed that into where I am now, which is the chief marketing officer for MGS Trade School, and part owner of it too. So, yep. And then I've written a book, all kinds of crazy stuff. So it's been a wild ride, but it's been fun.
Interesting story. Since I was a kid, I always loved Discovery Channel. So how do you feel that you was a host on that channel? That's big.
It was cool. It happened so fast, and it was so surreal that there's a lot of it I don't even remember, because it was just, all right. First, you get told you're now the host. You're gonna do this show, and you're like, oh, cool. All right, let's do it. Then there's this waiting period of when you actually go film. So that, you're pulling your hair out going, oh, is this going to happen? Are they really going to do it? And there was a few speed bumps getting us to film. And then, once you're filming it, once you get there, oh man, we were filming 2 to 3 episodes a week. And so it was just boom, boom, boom. 8 weeks we did eight episodes, and it was just nonstop, boom, boom. And we're filming the next episode as the episode before that is already in the second and third stages. So we're going back and forth from episode to episode. So we're having to remember. So a lot of the filming part, it's a blur to me. Um, but it was fun, and but it was odd. It was the most fun I've ever had working, right? But it was the weirdest stress once it went to air. And the reason I say that, I tell people this all the time. You get used to doing a job, right? Something goes wrong. You either fix it, you learn how to fix it, or you hire somebody to fix it. It's not like that with TV. Once it's out there, it's out there. It's gone. If something was wrong on it, you're like, oh shit. you know, you're like, I'm not gonna be able to go back and fix that. And the good thing was there wasn't a whole lot of that, but it was just weird not having any kind of, you know, checks and balances or control on what the editing did and all this other stuff. But it ended up good. It was fun. It was neat because I got a little taste of the fame bug. You know, I could, if I went to anything weapons related, a blade show or a gun event or anything like that, people would stop and recognize me and want pictures or whatever. I could still go to Walmart and nobody knew who the hell I was. So that was kind of a cool little, okay, I got a taste of it. Do I want to live that life? I don't know, but yeah, it was really fun. It was a privilege to be able to do it, and I'd do it again if I had the chance. But now, would I do it again back? Like if I had a time machine and somebody offered me that, I would do it again. If I got offered again now, I don't know. It would be there'd have to be a really good locked in contract on some stuff. Because that's one thing people don't realize. Your first season on a cable television show, you're broke. You're not rich. You're not making a whole hell of a lot of money. So
And what's one lesson, like a big lesson that you learned about like storytelling, being in front of the cameras?
so in front of the camera thing, I had a friend of mine who, he had a huge YouTube channel for a while, Richard Ryan. And I was picking his brain because I helped him film he was doing one of his slow-mo because he was big into the slow-mo cameras and everything, and I was picking his brain about stuff because he had acted in a few movies too. And I said, I want to be me. I said, I think in the day and age we live in with social media and with podcasts, with YouTube, with all that stuff going on, and you said I could cuss, right?
Yeah.
So people's bullshit meter, that's off the charts. So if you put on a fake persona, people can tell now. The days of having a TV show where you're like talking like this and everything is wonderful. People know that's bullshit now. People want to see the real you. They want to see the authentic you. So I was asking him, I was like, how do I do that authentic me that has some excitement that hooks people in, but I don't want to be fake. I don't want to be real. And he kind of told me, because one of the things you want to do is you want to push your persona over the edge to where it's really over the top, and then start dialing it back and dial it back to where it's comfortable. And that comfortable spot is still above what normal conversation is, right? Like this is normal conversation. But in a video, it doesn't come off great. So you kind of got to let it up a little bit more, and learning to project just a slightly exaggerated version of your own personality comes across really good in video. So it's like you have to push yourself to that, oh my God, this is uncomfortable, and then start dialing it back until, okay, that's the sweet spot. And that's where it was. That's probably the best advice I ever got about being on camera. And just that the advice I give everybody is to be yourself, be authentic, because people can tell, people can sniff out the bullshit in a heartbeat.
Right. And During the time filming like the show, being a
Yeah.
host, did you go through any times where it was over stressing for you? How did you push through?
Um, I think the stress was not necessarily while we were filming. Like that, it is like I said, it's so balls to the wall fast. You don't really have time to stress. And I think it's by design because people inherently you get, I mean, we had 20 something cameramen all over us, hot lights blaring at us. Just it was a full shebang set. And if we had time to think about it, that would probably get overwhelming. But no, it's like, here's your earpiece. All right, get the wardrobe. All right, makeup. All right, you're out. Go on stage. All right, we'll be in your ear. You know, we'll tell you this. And you walk out and you start talking, and they're in your ear, and you're trying to monitor the contestants, and you're listening to your co-host, and everything's going on. You don't have time to stress. It's just like boom, 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 boom. Next thing you know, oh, we finished that episode. Okay, cool. Next, afterwards though, are we going to get a second season? Are people watching it? The first couple episodes was like 600,000 people watched it, and we're like, oh gosh, we need to get to 800 plus. And then we started getting to that 800 plus, and then the plus threes, which is, in the old days, ratings were just when it aired, right? It aired this day, this is how many people watch. Now with everybody DVR and stuff and watching it on demand like 2, 3 weeks later, or waiting till the whole season gets spooled up, they call it plus three. So they give you 3 extra days of that recording time, the everything else. With the plus threes, we were getting over 1 million. So we thought, okay, we're gonna get a second season. And it took them a long time to make the decision to not give us a second season. And that time that was stressful because really you're going, okay, well, I can't start a new job because if they say it's time for season two, you got to jump into season two. And I had left the job I was at to do the show. um so it was a little bit of a stressful time dealing with that, but nothing you can't get past, and you learn from it. I'm a firm believer. I played sports all the way up till college, and I've always believed that there's not winning and losing, there's winning and learning. So anything negative or stress that comes, you can always learn something from it.
Right. And like in that moment, if you remember, like when you after you did the first season, you're waiting on the second season, say like a couple months go by, how do you get through every day? Like this is
Whew.
gonna happen.
I was driving for Uber. It was it's funny because a lot of my funniest fun stories I had came from doing the Uber drive-in, waiting to see if we got season two. Because that was about the only thing I knew I could do because I could quit at any moment. You set your own schedule, so I was like doing that, and I was still doing some marketing consulting, which I still do. So if anybody needs marketing consulting, he can hook you up with me. um, but some of the Uber drive-in stories were neat, and it kind of got me through that because I'd be in there with families and we start talking, and like there was one where a kid kept going, "Dad, Dad, ask him, ask him." And I'm sitting there going, "Oh, the kid recognizes me. I think they watched the show." And apparently his history teacher was showing our show in class because we went into the historical context of a lot of weapons. What wars were they used in, who designed them, the patents, all that stuff. So that was cool that he recognized me from that. There was another one of my funniest stories that just you always, any kind of time you do something where you start getting any kind of notoriety or quote unquote fame for it, you want to stay humble because you can't be authentic if you start getting arrogant and egotistical and cocky. You got to stay humble and realize the reason why you are where you are. And so it was funny. I had one of those humbling moments. I had two kids that were in the car with their dad and mom, and the dad was like, "You look like the guy from Discovery Channel." I was like, I am the guy from Discovery Channel. Like, "Oh my God, that's cool." And one of the kids pipes up and he goes, "Nah, that guy was fat."
Wow.
Because I was 315 pounds when we filmed the show. And when I saw the first episode, I went into full bore, I gotta lose this weight. And so I lost like 80 pounds in a year. And that kid just he called it out, "No, man, that wasn't you. That guy was fat." And I was like, "Oh, okay." But it was hilarious too at the same time.
Yeah, that's crazy. So like You felt like you was able to get, well, you had to get through the days, but was it like rough for you, or it was something able to adapt to until
No,
the
no, it
next
was.
kicked off?
Are you talking about waiting on that second season?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was rough because yeah, I'll be honest. I was excited when I started the podcast with Talking Lead because as a kid, I always wanted to be an entertainer of some sort. I loved the medical field, but there was always this itch to entertain because I was, good at talking to people. And I think the main reason was I moved around almost every year in my life until fifth grade. So I had to make friends real quick, real fast. So I learned to entertain and be the class clown and be the goofball. And I don't know where I was going with that. Your question. uh, oh, what was it? Okay? Ask me the question again.
Like, was it rough for you to get through the days
Oh,
until the next season?
yeah, so that was the rough part, having that dream of being some sort of entertainer, getting it, it was a tough point for me because I'm like, oh my God, I did it. I achieved a goal I had when I was a kid. I have a TV show, Then I was like, I got to keep it going. I want to keep going. I want it to keep happening. I want it. And I was trying to promote it and I was trying to get the word out to a lot of people. And unfortunately, the subject matter, firearms is a very politically charged, subject matter. Yeah, I think that may have hurt us a little bit because at the time I think there was a shooting that had happened in that during that time period, and so it was kind of trying to make things happen as much as I could, but I felt like I was on a hamster wheel just spinning and spinning, and I really, really, really wanted that second season and probably the turning point that kind of helped me the most because I don't know if one of my co-hosts or somebody reached out to our executive producer and told him I was just really stressing over it. He called me. He was like, "Hey, man, you need to realize you achieved something huge, and nobody can take that away from you. Most TV shows that are filmed, only about 6 to 8% of those filmed shows, like full season filmed, go to air." He goes, "You made it to air. So you're in the top 6 to 8%." I was like, "Well, that's cool." And he goes, "Now, of those seasons that go to air that were filmed, only about 6 to 8% of those make it the full season without getting canceled." And I'm like, "Oh wow." And we had a full season. He says, "So what you did is a huge accomplishment and don't let anything take that down." And so that was kind of all right, I feel good about it. I accomplished something big. I've accomplished something really cool with that. So, yeah, I had my tough times, but I had some stuff that kind of pulled me back out of it.
Nice. And you got through it too.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
What does most of the audience not see behind the scenes about producing high level television at the scale?
Oh man. Everything what you see on the screen. The good thing is with our show, we were a game show that gave away real money, right? It was a building competition. If you're a game show that gives away real money, you have a lot of laws and rules that are guiding you. It's not like reality TV where it's scripted, or even scripted TV where it's scripted, where you can kind of just creatively come up with whatever the hell you want. What I've learned is seeing and talking to our story producers, which let's say you watch a reality TV show and there's always that cutaway scene where they're sitting in chairs and they're being interviewed, and then it goes back to the scenario that's happening and it goes back to the interview. That's the story producer is sitting there talking to them and they're coming up with storylines and trying to make everything fit into a cool narrative that would be entertaining to the audience. um we didn't really have that on our show. They tried to do it but it just didn't fit because these are craftsmen that are out there working their butt off and showing their craft, right? So you couldn't really get a whole lot of drama or anything out of it, and they're there to do their job. They're doing it as quick as they can within the time we gave them. You don't get the drama, you don't get the stories. But I would ask the story producers of shows they worked on in the past, and they would tell me different cues and stuff to look for. And a lot of stuff, if it's really over the top, especially in reality TV, most likely that's a scripted scenario. And they tell you it's reality, but no, they scripted it. And a lot of what you see on reality TV too is something that happened that was cool that they may not have been filming, or maybe it was something that happened in between filming and they go back and recreate it. And usually those you can kind of tell, okay, this is either scripted or they're recreating something that already happened. Because the fact to get every cool aspect of somebody's life that's on a show like that, you have to be following them 24/7, you know. So there's that aspect. The other aspect is how many people it takes to create a show like that. You know, I have found myself, now that I've met cameramen and gaffers and directors of photography and, you know, executive producers down to productions assistants, you know, all these people that make a show happen. I find myself watching the credits more, whether it's a TV show or a movie or something, because those people don't get the respect that the people in front of the camera get, right? Even, you know, even nowadays, directors, producers, and writers will get the attention, the respect, but nobody knows, you know, John Doe that held a camera and has a bulging disc in his back because he had a camera rig on for, you know, 8 hours a day for 30 days, you know. Um, so there are a lot of people that go into that. It gave me a new respect to the pirating side of stuff, right? You know, people will justify pirating music, movies, TV, all that stuff, and they'll justify it because, oh well, they're making lots of money. They don't need the extra money. But no, you got to realize some of these people on that crew, you know, the guy that's just wrapping up the wires to make sure it's good for the cameraman may make 20 grand, 30 grand a show that he's doing. That's not a lot of money. With us being on cable TV on Discovery, we didn't make a lot of money and we were in front of the camera. So these people are trying to generate revenue and put food on the table. So I got away. I'm guilty of it. I used to download movies. I used to download music all the time, but that experience made me just kind of cringe a little bit when people were like, "Oh, is that movie good? Yeah, I'll go get it on Pirate Bay or whatever." You know, it used to be LimeWire back in the day when I would do it, but I don't know what sites are now. But I'm kind of like, you know, if you keep pirating and everybody starts pirating, eventually people can't make money making entertainment and then they just stop. You know, and I think that's part of why a lot of our music we get now is electronic music. It's just computer generated music and then you get a good singer to sing over it because the good musicians can't make a living doing it on it anymore. So yeah, that's an interesting thing behind the scenes kind of peak. But it's amazing how good a lot of these people are. Just really salt of the earth, good people. And I think they see a lot of the egos in the entertainment industry. They see a lot of the craziness that goes on from being right next to them, but they're not attached to it. So they're I don't know. It's just kind of a cool vibe with the crews and everybody.
Nice. That's a good intake.
Yeah.
If you can, you don't have to. What's the biggest check you got from Discovery Channel for being a host?
Like one single check,
Yeah,
$4,000.
that's a nice check.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. For 8 weeks of work, you know, I made decent money for 8 weeks of work. But having to maneuver interviews and trying to promote it and doing everything and not getting paid for that side of it, it's not a whole lot of money. I mean, I didn't even make six figures on one full season. You know, so it's one of those things where people and that's the bizarre thing. I want to, from a social perspective, my when I got the TV show, my circle of friends kind of shrunk a little bit, just a little, because you got a lot of friends that, especially being in a entertainment influencer kind of space, well, why didn't I get a TV show? I do the same thing you did. Why didn't I get it? And I'm like, I don't know. And so that circle kind of shrunk a little bit. When the TV show went to air, my circle grew again. And then all of a sudden, when the show gets canceled, I mean, it just shrunk. And you realize a lot of people y- think certain things, like, for instance, the money part, right? That's what started this conversation is people thought I got a TV show and I was a millionaire. It's far from the truth, not even close. So, a lot of people were out to, hey, can you help me out with this? Can you hook me up with this? And I'm like, dude, I didn't make that kind of money. I can't do this or that or whatever. So that was an interesting view of what happened with the money stuff.
And if you want to say you don't have to, why do you think that once you got it, your circle got small? Then once the show blew up, it got big. Then once it got
Mhm.
canceled, it got small. You think it's like jealousy and hate, or
The initial shrink was the jealousy side. I actually had people message me and be like, "Hey man, I'm happy for you, but I just don't understand why I didn't get to do that." And I'm
that's
like,
crazy?
a real friend would be like, "Dude, I'm so stoked you got this. I am so proud of you. Freaking you'll kick ass." But I actually had people go, I'm not mad. I'm not, I'm happy for you, but." And as soon as I heard the but, I'm like, "Oh, that kind of hurt." And then the but turned into, but I wanna. And it's like, damn, dude, thanks for, having my back, being proud and whatever. And a couple of those I actually talked to, and we're still friendly, but they're not as close as they were before. The second shrinking when the show got canceled, I mean, it's obvious what the big boom was. I had a TV show. Everybody's like, "Oh, you're famous. I want to talk to you. I want to be around you. I want to do this." And so that naturally, and people came out of the woodwork. The cool thing is, I went to a small school up until my junior year when we moved to Nashville, Tennessee. Went to a small rural area, and a lot of those people I hadn't talked to in years kind of came out of the woodwork. But it wasn't a greedy, I want something kind of thing. It was just like, hey, cool. We knew each other way back when. And that was a cool kind of reigniting, rekindling with a lot of people. Um, but the second big reduction, I think, was obvious that, when you have forward facing image on TV, radio, movies, whatever you end up doing, people want a piece of you somehow. And none of this was on a life destroying, oh my God, I'm depressed because of it level. I'm sure it's bigger level people experience it on a much larger, grander scale. But when the show got canceled, like people I was talking to about doing movie stuff with, I'm not going to say a company or anything, but there was a company I used to dream of acting in, and I'm 6'7". So I know it's tough for me to get a lot of roles acting because framing. Most actors are like 5'6" to 5'10". So you throw me in the mix, all of a sudden they got to get the camera angle rolling real wide. I get that, no, not a big deal. But when the show got canceled, there was people that were talking to me about doing movies with a certain company that I used to dream of doing stuff with. Radio silent, just crickets. And it was kind of one of those things where it's like, wow, wait, hey, I'm still me. I'm still the guy that you would have hired to do this. Why all of a sudden, because the show got canceled, you don't want to talk anymore? Um, Another aspect, a lot of people that kind of blew smoke up your rear when you're doing something like this, once you're out of it, because I work in that politically charged firearms world, they didn't want to touch me. And I'm like, I'm not even like political. I don't get political about stuff publicly, private conversations I do. But, just because the subject matter is firearms, they're like, "Oh, it's bad." And it's like, no, it's 100% legal. It's a Second Amendment right that every person in this country has, no matter what your religion, race, creed, sexuality, nationality. I mean, if you're a citizen of the United States, that's your right. And for some reason, it became this like negative thing. So people were like, I'd finally get a hold of somebody that had stopped talking to me, and, well, what is the deal? Why did this stop? Why did it's the guns? And I'm like, I don't get it. I'm not even like, I'm not going on there going woo, shooting crazy
Yeah.
things in the air and being irresponsible. I teach firearms and I teach safe handling and storage and repair, and it's like, I don't understand what's wrong with it. I would get if I was doing something illegal, If I'm teaching people how to illegally turn things into machine guns, okay, I get it now. But I'm not. I'm doing everything within the laws. And it was just this weird thing. And a lot of people, if they actually had political conversations with me, they'd find that we agree on a lot of stuff. But they see the gun thing and it's like, you know. So that was the second shrinking of the circle, and how that went down.
And how about now? Is the circle big, or is it where it needs
It
to be?
is it is where it needs to be. It is one of those things where I think one of the best lessons I got was learning human behavior better. I was always a good read of people, but that was such a whirlwind couple of years where, I got to know certain people and I thought, oh, these are great friends, and then, hey man, hey, you want to go hang out? No, no, I'm not even getting a response. What just happened? And learning people that genuinely want to, that are rooting for you and everything you do, root that your true friends that back you on stuff, or they don't even have to back you on stuff, are positively critical. Hey, dude, that's kind of dumb what you did there. That's a good friend. If you see a friend doing something dumb or making a bad move, and you call them out and you still stick by them, that's a solid friend because you're not wanting them to get hurt or burnt. So just a lot of different dynamics of that kind of stuff. That was kind of where that happened.
Very good topic. Um, how has your definition of success evolved from when you first landed the role to where you are now?
Hmm. I think it's still the same. My definition of success has nothing to do with money, fame, or anything like that. My definition of success is happiness. Am I happy? Am I happy with my family? Am I happy with my friends? Am I happy with what I'm doing, what I'm putting out there into the world? I think that's the important part that a lot of people don't get. They think, oh, well, I'm not making enough money. I'm not successful. Well, really? Because I just saw you coaching your kids' basketball team, and that kid came up, ran, and hugged you, and then you kissed your wife, and y'all drove off in your nice Tahoe or whatever. I mean, you don't have to be a millionaire to have success. Are you happy? Well, I mean, yeah, I got a good life. Are you happy? Yeah, yeah, I'm happy. You're successful. That's life is not life is about finding something you're passionate about, loving it and doing it and being able to make a living at it. A lot of people get sucked into that rabbit hole of, I do this job to make the money to do the stuff I need. And we need people. We need that in the world, right? If we didn't have that, then the world wouldn't run. The world wouldn't move in a circle. But true success for me is fine, and this is for me. Once again, this is not, hey, take my formula and plug it in everywhere. It may not work for you. Is finding something I'm passionate about, something I love. And for me, it is doing stuff like this, right? And I can tell you stuff I've got coming later. You'll probably have, that's probably one of your questions. What else you got coming up? But it's being able to find something you love doing, make a living at it, or at least do it successfully, even if you never make a dime off of it. If you're having fun, you're loving it, and you're providing for your family, and you're not destitute or whatever because of that thing you love, you're successful. You're happy. So I heard one person say too, and this is an odd one to say. It's kind of morbid, but I don't think it's morbid. Is for This is the quote. This isn't me saying it. My measure of success is how many people are going to be at my funeral when I die. You know,
That's a good one.
how many people are going to show up because they miss me, they loved me, they cared about me, and I made a difference in their life. You know, that one hit me hard. Is because like everything I do entertainment wise, I'm not like, the dancing guy with the top hat, and I'm entertaining constantly. I want to build a platform to make a difference with, right? And I found the quickest way that I've built those platforms is using my voice, is being on camera, being on the microphone, and doing that stuff, and then pointing that platform to something I make revenue from, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, and that gives me an opportunity to make a difference in people's lives. Stuff. It's important to me, like nonprofit work and stuff like that. So, yeah. That's success is a moving target for a lot of people, but for me, that's what it is.
Good one. And for aspiring hosts and content creators that's going to be watching this, what do
Mhm.
you believe separates good hosts from truly great ones?
Being yourself, being authentic. If you can make it feel like you are sitting in a cabin somewhere with your buddies shooting the shit and just enjoying yourself, people will love that. If you are over the top and fake with your delivery, there's a lot of shows out there that people are just, they're not themselves. Because you'll see them be like, oh yeah, man, that's great. Oh, that's all, blah, blah, blah. And then the
Yeah.
camera goes off and they're like, thanks for coming on, man. Appreciate it. See you. Bye. And it's like, wait, who's the real you? Which one's the real one? And it works for a lot of people, and there's a lot of people that still enjoy that Zoo Crew morning show kind of vibe. But it is having the conversation and really being intent on the conversation. Like, it's great to have prepared questions, but be listening to the guest, right? As you're interviewing them, as you're talking to them, as you're filming them, whatever your format is, because you'll find little golden nuggets. And I've already seen you do it twice, where you're like, "Ooh, I'm gonna have him elaborate on that." And when you hear those golden nuggets, catch them and go, "Oh, I'm gonna elaborate more on that." If you have, for content creators that have a show, right, there's commercial breaks or something like that, try not to do much interaction during the breaks. And this is the reason I say that. Tell them why. Tell your guests why we're not gonna, get on your phone, do whatever, but let's not have a whole lot of interaction, because it's inevitable. Because I've done radio, and every single time you have a good guest, something awesome happens during commercial break. If you try to recreate it when you come back from break, it sounds fake as hell. So, if you have shows that have a break like that, just kind of, I mean, don't be mean. I'm not talking to you. Just say, hey, look, we don't talk during breaks because something inevitably awesome is going to happen. And then you can't recreate it after the break. You want that to be on air. So that's another one. But the biggest thing is just be yourself. If you are, and this is one that I have to really take to heart myself, especially here lately because of stuff that I'm wanting to do. If you've got an idea and it's a good idea, do it. Just do it. Take the old Nike logo and just do it. It is, you have to just press record. I've got a good friend of mine in the industry. His name is Hoodneck, and he is a black guy that does redneck stuff. So he created this brand called Hoodneck, and he's now turned it into a nonprofit down in Texas that teaches people from the inner city how to hunt and maintain a farm and grow their own food and all this stuff. And he called me one day years ago, and he was like, "Man, I want to do more content creation." And I was like, "Just fucking press record, dude. That's it." Well, what about, getting the right lighting? I mean, no, just press record. Just get a camera, put it in front of you. You have great ideas, you have great things that you're doing. Start talking about it. And he did. And within a year of him doing that, the organization, a big organization in our world, invited him to be the man on the street recording guy at their biggest convention of the year. And I was so proud of him. I was like, "Oh man, that's awesome. That is so cool that you did that." But to the people out there that have good ideas, that you want to do something cool, just press record. That's it. And I need to take that advice myself, because since the TV show, I've dabbled. I started a little golf channel called Dilla Golf. And if people don't get that joke, there is a term called Dillagaff. Have you ever heard that before?
No.
And okay, Dilligaff stands for "Do I look like I give a fuck?" and it and it and it comes from like old drill instructors used to say that in the military all the time, and now it's become a huge thing. It's way outside the military. It kind of grew, and I'm like, huh, what can I call this golf channel? And then it hit me. I'm like, Dillagolf. Do I look like I golf? Because I don't look like I golf. I mean, you can't see it. I mean, I'm all tatted up, everything like that, and got the long hair and the big bushy beard, and yeah, I'm like, I don't look like I golf, but I like golf. So I started this channel called Dilla Golf, and it took off. In 6 months, I had 10,000 subscribers, and I was like, wow, okay, what the hell just happened? I haven't posted a lot to it, and part of the reason for that is I've really been studying media right now as far as online media goes, and I think a lot of it is going to more randomized content instead of I'm a golf guy. I'm a gun guy. I'm a fragrance guy. I'm a, baseball guy, basketball. It's becoming more of a, I like lots of stuff. I'm going to talk about lots of stuff. So that's kind of where I'm leaning now as I'm wanting to get more into doing shows like this where I'm interviewing people. In fact, I'm going to ask you to be on my show too, by the way.
I love that.
Yeah, and do the randomized conversations about anything, whatever anybody wants to talk about. If someone's against what I believe, whether it's, firearms or politics or anything like that, I'd love to have a conversation with them to show the world that that's how, I mean, we're in a world right now where every side, religion, politics, race, sex, everything, we're being told by the media, traditional media, that we should all hate each other. That's bullshit. I can have a conversation with somebody that completely diametrically opposes everything I believe in. And if they're a good person and I'm a good person, we can come to a middle ground and shake hands and either agree to disagree, or maybe they sway me a little bit, or maybe I sway them a little bit. That's the way it used to be. I remember going to family reunions as a kid, right? And having family members that were on the left and family members that were on the right, and they debate and they throw jabs at each other's political candidates, and then they all sit down and eat together and everything is fine. Now it's like, oh, you disagree with me, I hate you. I'm like,
Yeah.
what is that? I'm like, that is not humanity. I don't care what side you're on, like all the stuff going on in Venezuela, man. You got one side saying, "Oh, America's destroying a country." You've got citizens in that country celebrating out being out from under oppression, and it's like, why can't we all just stop and have a conversation? It's hate and, oh, something happened I didn't like. Let's go out and riot. What? I
Crazy.
get protests. Protest is one thing, but it's a bizarre kind of situation we're in, and I want to be able to provide people a place where, if we do disagree, if you're willing to be civil, I'll be civil too, and we'll just have a conversation. I'm not going to bash you. Don't bash me. Here's my viewpoint. What's your viewpoint? Okay, I can kind of see that, but I don't agree with this. Oh, okay, cool, because they can kind of see that, but they don't agree with this. Great, shake hands. Great, we can still be friends. I don't understand why people can't do that anymore. And I think, well, actually, I do. I think it's a lot of the rhetoric in traditional media. You got a right wing station, Fox News, and you got a left wing station, CNN, telling everybody hate each other. I, growing up, I remember watching the news, and it was just like, this happened today, and this is when it happened, and this is how it happened. Next subject, this happened today, this is when it happened. Now it's like, this happened today, and I'm going to tell you why that person sucks. And I'm like, whoa, what? It's bizarre. So yeah, it's a fun world right now.
Yeah. Lack of communication too.
Mhm. Have a conversation with people. Don't yell at them. Have a conversation.
That's it. This was a good episode, but before we go,
Yeah.
what's new things you got working on? What's some new projects you got coming out?
So I'll start with this one. Yeah, I don't know. So my question for you is, did you find out about me through Paul Southon?
Not yet.
Oh, okay. I didn't know, because I saw the interview you did with Paul, and I was like, I wonder if Paul like told him about me, and that's how you and I linked up. But I gave Paul my book. We did a tactical event together with, it was the Green Beret Celebrity Channels Special Forces Trust, which is amazing, amazing organization. If you want to look for a good organization, military related, they're great. But we did that event together with a few other celebrities, and I gave him my book, so I didn't know if that's where. But this has been my latest thing. It's called Exit to Now. You can go to Amazon and get it. It is. I like it. I love it. It's a 20-year passion project for me, and I finally finished it. For the last year, I just kind of went balls to the wall and I was like, I'm gonna finish this thing, and I did. It's what I tell people, it's not religious, but it struggles with religion, wrestles with religion. It's not political, but there are some, political undertones of like some mysterious. It's a fictional book. What I tell people, it's kind of like Dan Brown met and had a baby with some conspiracy theorist while listening to Tool in a Waffle House. It's kind of a, I'm ADD from hell, so it's like I wrote it the way I think, so it's kind of a little bit scattered, but it's a cool conspiracy theory kind of book. That's a fictional book about a guy that finds out there's this organization controlling narratives and religion and stuff like that, and he's trying to expose them. But it was a fun book. If you like conspiracy novels, go to Amazon.com, search Exit to Now by Zeke Stout. You can find it there. Um, you can get it. You can go to your local bookstore and ask for it, and they can order it. Because I did it on Ingram Spark too, and that's where you can get in local bookstores. So that's the one thing. The other thing I'm wanting to do, and I'm still debating, and maybe I'll ask your opinion too. So I built that Dilla Golf channel, right? And I'm wanting to do all this randomized content. And I'm thinking, okay, do I just start putting it on the Dilla Golf channel and does that kill it, right? Even if I lose 5,000, even if I lose half the subscribers, I still have a channel with 5,000 subscribers. So that's one train of thought. The other train of thought is starting a completely new channel that's just, Zeke Speaks or the Zeke Stout Show or whatever, and start having that and those conversations and reviews of different things I like. I'm a frag head, and I don't know, do you know what a frag head is?
Nah.
It's like somebody that gets into fragrances, colognes, perfumes, all that stuff. And I love like different scents. I've always had a nose for literally a nose for all kinds of different scents. I can pick stuff out from far away. And, I got a new, parfum for Christmas that I love. And I'm like, oh, I want to talk about it. And I'm like, oh, I'll just do a video about it. And then I start going on YouTube, and there's thousands of these channels that talk about reviewing, stuff like that. Reviewing golf clubs. I used to play basketball, talking about basketball. I live in Memphis. I could talk about the Memphis Grizzlies and the Blues and barbecue and, everything else. It's one of those things where I think that's where we're going towards channels, because that's where we are mentally. If I pick this thing up and I start scrolling, it's random. It's not all one subject. And our brains are being programmed to like randomized content. And I think the niche channels and influencers are going to slowly fade away if they don't start doing randomized content about everything they like. I think that's the direction it's going. So I'm going to start that up. If anybody wants to try to find me and follow me, I will. You can check the Dilla Golf stuff. I'll probably put some stuff on there, just kind of saying where I'm at, what I'm doing. I'll still do some of the Dilla Golf stuff there. And then just Zeke Stout on all this other social media. So I'll be posting and telling people it's just Zeke, ZEKE underscore Stout, STOUT on everything.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate you
Yeah.
coming on the podcast.
Yeah. And so how did you get into it? I'm going to ask you questions now.
I've been doing this for like 8 years, but went to a broadcasting radio school. I wanted to get like
Nice.
into radio.
Which one did you go to?
CSB in Connecticut. Farmington.
Okay. Gotcha. Is that where you're based out of, is Connecticut?
Yeah.
Nice. Nice. I actually spent some time up there. We met some of the Forged and Fire contestants, and they have the big forge out there, and I went and hung out with them. That's where part of the audition was for the show.
Oh, that's cool.
And so then you just started your own show from there, or?
Yeah, because I got into a car accident and it just like slowed
Uh-huh.
everything down. So I was trying to figure out what I'm
Yeah.
gonna do, and I just started the podcast.
Nice. Nice.
Never stop.
You and enjoy it? So
Yeah, I
8
love it.
years?
Yeah,
That's awesome, man. That's impressive. You having some good success with it and everything too?
yeah.
That's good.
Still got a lot to
Good,
do,
good.
but it's good so
Oh
far.
yeah. Just keep pressing record. That's all there is to it, man. And you've got a groove. You're very disarming, which is a positive thing. It's not like I'm going, okay, who's this guy? What should I do? What should I say? It's like, okay, I feel cool. I'm comfortable here. So yeah, I think you'll do well with it.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem, man. And then the school too. So if anybody is interested in learning gunsmithing, they can go to mgs.edu and find out that stuff too. Almost forgot about that. I'm sitting here talking about platforms I'm building to point to where I generate revenue, but I didn't point to generating revenue.
All right. Sign up first class.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe we could do a part 2 soon.
Yeah, do part two, and then I'm gonna have you on mine.
All right.
Once I figure out how. I know I've used StreamYard before, which I see you use. That may be the route I go, but there's been a couple of new ones that I've been interviewed on lately that I'm like, ooh, wow, they have some cool features on this thing, like live chat and all kinds of stuff. So it's kind of cool. So,
Yeah, they got a bunch of stuff now.
oh yeah, definitely. But yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I've got going on.
I'll definitely keep in touch.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You've got my contact info. I'll shoot you. I'll shoot you a message with my number too. That way, that's the easiest way to get a hold of me. Half the time, Instagram, I don't get for hours.
All right.
All right,
Appreciate it.
cool. Yeah, no problem, man. Have a good one.
Peace.
See you. Bye.